In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
This is Bryce Nyer coming at you. We're going to talk about the legal matrix. And what is the legal matrix? The legal matrix. It's what controls you lawyers, you law students, you would-be lawyers. And why am I here? I'm here because after 31 years of being part of the legal matrix, 31 years of litigation, 31 years of hearing everybody's problems, 31 years of combat in the courtroom, there just comes a point in time when you want to declare your freedom. And you have a problem. I have a problem. And you're asking yourself, what problem do I have? Well, there's more than one, but the main one is a lie that you've been living and that you've been told ever since you got this idea in your head that you wanted to be a lawyer. So let's go back in time a little bit about where this whole problem started. All of it. You sat there one day and you decided you wanted to be a lawyer, but you don't know why you wanted to become a lawyer. For some of you, you had nothing better to do. College was coming to an end. It was time to leave the sorority or the fraternity house, and you had no job lined up. For some of you, you thought you would be the noble social justice warriors and be the next Perry Mason or Matlock and win this huge case and be famous and make tons of money. And then some of you just essentially really had no other place to go. You had no plan. You had no what we call impossible game. So what did you do? Well, the good times where you felt you were free when you were in college, as you got ready and you started submitting all those law school applications that you thought would bring the ultimate ticket to freedom, was all a lie. And it was a continuing problem. You got that letter of acceptance. You felt on fire. You told everybody, I'm going to be a lawyer. And then you went through, like I did, 3 years of law school, of learning all those subjects, regurgitating all the case law, all that information. And once you graduated law school, you felt, I'm free now of law school. But then your next hurdle was the infamous bar exam, where you sat for 2, maybe 3 days, depending upon the state, the jurisdiction to which you were seeking to be licensed, and you got that great letter. And what did that letter say? You passed the bar exam. You have arrived. Congratulations. And you were elated, and you went out and celebrated. You drank a couple beers, a couple mixed drinks. You called every friend near and dear to you and every relative, mom and dad, and said, I am free. I am done with the bar exam. I don't have to take it again. I can now go out there in the world and I can show everybody who I am, and what I'm made of. I am free. I'm free of law school. I'm free of the bar exam. I'm now free to go do what I want, when I want, where I want. And this problem that you had and that you still have, it didn't go away. You just basically swapped one bondage for another. That's exactly what you did. And that's exactly what you've done. It didn't change your life per se. It just made you a slave to something else, to someone else, to the legal matrix. See, the legal matrix, it's an animal. It's a beast. It really exists. It stretches its tentacles into every law student, into every lawyer that opens that door, that gets invited in, that takes that temptation to see the world, to have the world, to know the world. You become worldly. And in a sense, you've sold your soul to who? The legal matrix. And you're still having that problem because you're not free. You're now embedded even more. So you go forward like I did. You get your first job, and what happens? You become a slave. You think you're free. You now have a salary, a paycheck, depending upon what your fee arrangement is with the law firm, but you're slaving away. To who? Your clients, the judges, your senior partners, perhaps your fellow associates that are senior to you, the courtroom staff, the clerks of court, everybody in the legal profession now has taken a bite into you. They're like leeches, feeding off of your blood, your lifeblood. So now, instead of having those free weekends, time with your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your significant other, instead of vacationing, what are you doing? You're slaving away. You're doing memos and briefs and preparing for litigation day in, day out. And it's just never ending. You go to bed at night like I did. And you thought you were free, but you're not. You go to bed only to awaken just a few hours later because what's running through your head? Your cases, your clients, your deadlines. And that freedom that you sought for so long, thinking once that law school was done, the course study was over, the bar was done, I passed the bar. You keep thinking about that time and time again, and I've arrived, and I've got another paycheck, or I got a bonus. But in reality, it was just like feeding you cocaine to a crackhead addict. You took more and more, and you couldn't break away. You couldn't wean off of the legal matrix crack. And your freedom, it continues and continued to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle until you reached a state that you didn't even know what freedom was anymore. You felt freedom was being able to go into your office, shut the door, make a phone call, have a consult, get a new retainer, and you felt good for the day. Only to realize that as you went home, you were emotionally, mentally spent, tired, worn out, only to get up and do it all again. For most of you, the average age of graduating from law school is about 25. Now, there are some folks that start law school later in life that have already had careers and done things, but you feel that you're young and you have your whole life ahead of you. That's the way I felt. I felt that way too. But then the years slip by. You know what they slip by into? Your loss of freedom. You don't even look at your watch anymore. You don't look at a clock except to be here, to be there, to go there, to do this, to do that, file this, file that, appear before a judge, write the brief, every deadline in the world is now upon your shoulders. Your freedom is just evaporated. You don't even know what freedom is anymore. You're numb. The girlfriend or boyfriend you used to have, there was somebody else. And you know what they're doing? They're having fun. They're free. Why are they free? Well, I'll tell you why they're free. Because they didn't become part of the legal matrix, which is where you are. It's where I was. I can't tell you the number of nights and days, the pain that I suffered, and you're suffering it too. The legal profession, it's an animal. Do you know that the legal profession is in the top 10 professions of the highest suicide rates? It is. It is. There may come a time when you may look out a window or look in the mirror, and all those symptoms such as no sleep, no time off, no fun, no relationships, the symptoms are persisting and persisting and persisting, and there's just no freedom. And you may think, I just can't go on anymore. I can't deal with this anymore, month after month, year after year. And it's a shame because what's happening in our profession as a legal matrix is stealing lives. They're stealing joy. They're stealing your well-being mentally, physically, spiritually. It's just dwindling. You're a shell of a person that you used to be. I was surprised to learn that actually, from studies, the number one profession with a suicide rate was medical doctors. And number two from studies was dentists. And after that were police officers, then veterinarians and financial services, then real estate agents, then electricians. I never knew that about electricians. And then coming in at number 8 on most of these studies were lawyers. And right after them were farmers, then pharmacists, then chemists. Those were the top 11. Some of them totally shocked me. The legal profession did not. Did not. And I can remember during my 31 years career of a couple of my colleagues that killed themselves, that committed suicide. I remember distinctly one of my good friends talking to him on a Friday night. He'd been gone through a divorce. He was drinking too much alcohol. He was a great lawyer, good friend. And he called me. He was very depressed. And then the next morning, I got the call from his law partner. He'd taken a gun and blown his head off and killed himself. And 2 or 3 other of my colleagues had done the same thing. They got to the point where the legal matrix had stolen so much of their freedom, of who they were, that they lost themselves in this matrix. They had no clarity. They had no focus, nothing. They didn't have any game to play anymore. All they had was total bondage. And who was the bondage to? The legal matrix. See, that's what we're about, to get you your freedom. Because if you don't fight for your freedom, if you don't demand it, if you don't storm the gates for freedom, you'll never have it. Take it from me, 31 years in this profession. I've seen a lot. I've talked to a lot. And there have been times when I've gone to bed and I've just said, what in the hell am I doing with my life? And you'll wake up one day and you'll just stare in the mirror and you won't know who you are anymore. You won't recognize the guy or girl that you were at 25 years old or 26, 27, 20. You just won't recognize that person. And you know what? Your former friends, your family, they've long gone. They lost recognition of you long ago. And why? Because you lost your freedom. See, people throw this term freedom around like it's candy, and they really can't describe it, what freedom is. They often think in the legal profession, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom from want, Miranda rights, entitlements. But that's not what freedom is. Not at all. Freedom is you having the choice to break away from the legal matrix. And it could be in any profession. The matrix has brothers and sisters. It's relatives. It's related. It spreads like a cancer, like a virus to all the other professions. So there may be the legal matrix. Maybe there's the medical matrix. Either way, they're all related. And they all have the same mission: to control you, to take away your freedom, to do their bidding. And you will, if you don't break free. You'll suffer the same symptoms no matter what industry, no matter what profession. You'll wake up maybe invigorated, maybe you won't. You'll drive yourself to the office and you'll go through the same thing day after day after day, just like in a movie, Groundhog Day. That's what'll happen. It will continue to spin and spin and spin and spin. You'll be like the hamster on the wheel that's getting nowhere. Freedom, it's something you need to think about every day. It's something you need to seek. And it's going to be something that you're going to have to fight for. That's why I've come to the crossroads in my life. I awakened one day and I just said, I can't do this anymore. I can't be this person anymore. I can't be a puppet anymore of the matrix, where they're just pulling my strings and controlling every aspect of my life, of how I write, how I think, how I argue, all these parameters, all these rules, putting me in a box. In a box. You're in a box. You're in a cell. You know what your cell is? It's your office. It's the building you walk into every day. And when that door shuts behind you, you think you're free because you can go open it and go step outside or drive to lunch or drive to get the next drink with your buddy. But in reality, you're not free. The door just opens you just to give you a temporary relief to go outside, but it pulls you back in the very next day. I can't impart on you enough of the problem that you have, that you didn't even see. It's like melanoma. Some people think melanoma, which is cancer on the skin, coming from the sun that they can see with the sunspots. But some forms of melanoma are within that you can't even see and don't even know you have. Like any cancer, it just ticks away, eating at you and eating at you. And eventually, it goes on the violent attack and takes you down. And you think with cancer, a little bit of chemo, you're okay. You think in the legal profession, you take some time off, you're okay, but you're not. Why are you not okay? Because you're returning to the very place that holds you in bondage, and you're not free. You're just let out on a pass, a temporary parole, a conjugal visit with freedom, only to be brought back. And then they control the next time you get your conjugal visit with freedom. Freedom is everything. If you don't have freedom, you have nothing. Zero. You'll always be under the control of the legal matrix. You'll always be under the control of somebody, some entity, somewhere. And your life will just fade away. You'll be like the walking dead, like I was, where I felt like I was just in a stupor, numb to everything, to everybody, where I had no idea of any clarity or focus of what my future would be. I had no idea until that one day when the pain is just so much. The pain is coming from the symptoms that you're experiencing in the legal matrix. And you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get out. You don't have the skill sets to do it. You don't even know where to begin. See, I was like that too. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. I didn't know where to go. I didn't even know where to stop. I would look out my window and I would hate my life. I would hate it. I hated everything. I hated everybody. But you know who I hated the most? Me. I hated me. Why did I hate me? Because I put myself in a prison in this matrix, and I held the keys to the freedom, but I didn't use the keys. I just kept them in the pocket and kept going and going and going, saying, it'll be better tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a better day. I'll just take a break. I'll take a weekend. I'll get away. And you know what? It never happened. Not until I made the conscious decision to fight for my freedom. So when you're thinking about freedom, think of it in a different context, a different frame. How do you define your personal freedom? How do you define your professional freedom? How? Are you really free? Are you? Can you just get up and go where you want on any given day? Can you write about anything you want in today's world? Can you be truthful with everybody around you? Or are you still confined in the box of the legal matrix? See, here's the thing about the law. The law really doesn't care about truth. The matrix doesn't care about truth. It never has. It never will. It makes up its own truth. You go into court and you argue positions you know are groundless. You don't have the law or the facts on your side. It's just like your life. What are the facts of where you are right now? Where are you right now? And how do you feel about the facts of where you are right now? How does it make you feel? Do you feel free? I bet you don't. For years, I didn't feel free. I just thought I felt free. I could go get a beer. I could go take a drive because I own the firm. But you know what? Even when you own your own firm, you're the most responsible person there. Because if you don't run it, somebody's going to run it for you. And then you're going to even have less freedom when other people step into your shoes and take it over. And then pretty soon the years will go by. The decades will pass. You think they won't, but they will. You think you have forever, but you don't. You don't know if you're going to wake up the next morning. You don't know if your marriage is going to survive. You don't know if you'll have retainer fees coming in. And the symptoms will persist and persist and persist and persist till one day, one of a couple things will happen. You'll either fall down and collapse and not get back up ever again, or you'll fall down and maybe a couple weeks later after you get out of the hospital, you'll stand up again. Or 3, you'll wake up and you'll take a deep look in that mirror and you'll look at that person and go, I'm not going to look like this anymore. I'm not going to feel like this anymore. I'm not going to be a slave like this anymore. I'm just not going to do it. And that, my friends, is going to be your Declaration of Independence. And you have to write your own. You have to write your own. What is your Declaration of Independence, coupled with what is your definition of freedom from the legal matrix or any matrix that you're in your given profession? Do you know? Have you really sat down and thought about it like I did? I mean, I had to sit down and I had to write about it. I had to write it down. What would it look like for Bryce to be truly free? What does it look like in reality? Not something made up, not something in a pipe dream, but how does it realistically look? And I'll tell you, when you answer those questions, when you really answer them with extreme rawness, with reality, and make it relevant to where you are right now today, it's going to shock you. It will. It did for me. It did for me. When I answered those questions, and I really just sat down all by myself with no distraction, none, and was totally brutally honest with myself, oh my God, I about fell out of my chair. I could barely breathe. And then once I read my answers again, I could actually then start to breathe because I realized the problem. I realized the symptoms. I recognized the symptoms that had become so numb to me because I had been in this legal matrix for so many damn years. The hellish nightmare that I had actually created for myself. And it didn't have to be that way. But see, that's what the legal profession does. It scoops you up. It draws you in. It molds you to be the good little matrix soldier that you are. And if you step out of line, you get thrown in the brig. But you know what? You know where the brig is? You. You are. Because you are the warden, you are the inmate, and you are the one that has the keys to lock the door or unlock the door so you have your freedom. It's not an easy battle. It's a war. It's every day. But until you wake up, until you get brutally honest with yourself about what are the facts of your life and how you feel about it, and then what actions you're going to take, you'll never be free. You'll be a slave to the legal matrix. You'll be a slave to your profession. You'll be a slave to your industry. And you will have let possibilities go by, pass you by, at a blitzkrieg speed, and you'll never get them back because you didn't assert your real freedom. That's what this is about. This is what this is all about. This is where we're headed. This is what we're going to be talking about. Freedom, real freedom in your profession, especially the legal profession. These matrix, they exist everywhere. Again, remember this. It's not just one matrix. They're related. They're a family. They stick together. They hunt together. And who are they hunting for? They're hunting for you and me. They are. They're looking for weak-minded lemmings that will plug in to the matrix. And once you plug in, it's hard to unplug. But it's possible. It is possible. It is doable. But we're not going to be able to solve all of this just by this conversation today. There's going to have to be more conversations. There's going to have to be one-on-one conversations. We're going to have to look at who you are, what you are, where you are, what are the facts of your life today. And it's not going to go away until you make it go away. You have to treat this like a bitter divorce. You do. You have to stand up, buckle up, strap in, and get ready to war. I mean, war like you've never fought a war before. It's what I had to do. And I'm still in it. I'm still in it. I'm fighting for my freedom every day. It's a slow process. When you look back at World War II, in the big scheme of things, it seems like only a few years. But for every man and woman clawing every inch of soil and sand to reach the objective, it seemed like an eternity. And your battle, your war for freedom from the matrix, it will seem like an eternity. But there is light at the end of this tunnel. You just have to know how to get to the light. You need somebody to lead you there so that one day you can lead yourself and you can lead others to real freedom, to prosperity. People think prosperity exists by money and wealth and things. It's not. Prosperity is in the amount of freedom that you have. The metrics of your freedom. Can you define the metrics of your freedom from the matrix? Can you unplug? Can you? Will you? What's stopping you? See, these are the questions I continually asked myself for years, and I still ask myself every day if I feel like I'm being drawn back in. It's a constant daily battle. It is an addiction. That's what the matrix wants. It's addicting, just like cigarettes, just like alcohol, just like drugs. It gets into your brain, and that's what the matrix does. It knows when to trigger you to want more. You have to wean off of the matrix. You have to experience freedom. Freedom is the cure. Once you have a taste of freedom, you will not go back to the matrix. You have declared war on the matrix the very day you declare your freedom in your own Declaration of Independence. When you form your own constitution of how you're going to operate in life, how you're going to operate in business, that's your freedom. When you declare it to the world and then you go do it. And there will be those that will try and stop you, I assure you, especially in the legal profession. They don't want you to succeed. They don't want you to be free. They want you to stay down there with them, just like the Titanic, and sink to the bottom of the Atlantic. And they'll grab onto you and drown you with them. But you've got a life preserver. What's that life preserver? It's the conversations you're going to have with me as we move forward. It won't happen in an instant. It won't happen today. And that's why we're going to have these series of conversations, these talks, these truth-telling times between you and me, and monitor the progress to freedom. There'll be small battles, large battles. It's an overall war. But it's a war that can be won. But it takes somebody with dedication, and you have to be ruthless about it. You have to want your freedom more than I want freedom for you. You have homework to do in your life. It's like CrossFit. You can't get into shape without experiencing the pain. You can't shed the fat from your body unless you do the painful exercises and stay away from the unhealthy foods. And in the same way, you can't break away from the matrix unless you exercise your mind and your body for freedom. Freedom. Repeat it. Write it. Say it. Memorize it. Think about it every waking moment. When you go to bed at night, think about, what does freedom look like for you? What does it look like? Where are you when you are free? Where are you mentally, spiritually, physically, professionally, personally, relationships? Where are you when you're totally free and nobody controls you, when the matrix doesn't control you? It will hunt you down. But we will develop skill sets and armor and weapons to do what? To fight the matrix. To fight the matrix. You're fighting. You're a fighter. You're a warrior. That's what you are. You're a legal warrior. That's where you're headed. Suit up, man. Suit up. It all comes down to the person in the box. That's you. That's you. I can't do it for you. You can't do it for me. But what we can do is have those conversations to empower you, to give you the weapons, the tools, the necessary skills to hold the Matrix at bay. The Matrix is a mighty animal. It's a Goliath. But you could be the David with a sling that brings down the Goliath. You want your freedom? Stand up for it. Make it happen. Don't stop. Make today the day that you declare your independence. Reach out to me. Talk to me. Let's have those conversations. Let's move forward. We're not going to retreat. There's no more retreating. There's no more retreating. None. Zero. Get the word retreat out of your vocabulary. You're going to fight. You're going to fight every day. You're going to be ruthless in this. You're going to defeat the legal matrix. We all are. But it's going to take a lot. And it starts today. Okay. You know what you have to do. Just like I know what I have to do. So let's get to it.